Hey, my name is Paul Knight. I'm a city planner at Historical Concept, and I've been working with Janice Scherer, the planner at Hampton Bays. We've been doing a envisioning process for downtown Hampton Bays, and I just wanted to walk you through some of our behind the scenes work and like how we approach the process. So here on the screen, I've got it's an aerial map of Southampton, and wanted to start with this because first of all, we've been meeting in the town hall right here. But second of all, this is a town that was mentioned by residents of Hampton Bays as a place that was worthy of emulation and a place that we could, take some of the lessons here from Southampton and perhaps apply them to Hampton Bays. So when we look at Southampton here, we think of these things in terms of different layers of information. So, in this case, we're showing the different blocks of Southampton. And then we look at the next layer, which is looking at the individual lot. And then the next layer, we look at the buildings and the street. And so this is what we start with when we, are analyzing our towns that we reference. This allows us to see kind of an X-ray of these towns, and we can piece apart these different bits of information and use it in, for example, Hampton Bay. So this is our X-ray for Southampton. And so from that, we can glean a lot of information. For example, if you put arrows on all the lots that just point to the front door for that lot, one thing you'll notice is that arrows point to arrows, and that all these arrows are pointing onto streets. So that means that all the streets have all the front doors. And then all the backs are also, the lots are oriented back to back. And so all those occur on either the rear of a property or on an alley. And you can get a sense for things like vibrancy and activity just based on the lot size. So here we see all these tiny little lots that are 18 to 30 feet wide all along here, but then these lots are much wider, 60 to 80 feet. And then when we throw buildings onto that, even if I've never been to Southampton before, if someone were to ask me, where is Main Street? Just based on this information, I can look at it and say, this is Main Street right here. It's where all the activity is. And you've got these continuous street walls of buildings. And all of that is kind of embedded in the block sizes of Southampton. So we've got these blocks that are on the order of 250 feet to 600 feet on a side. And because of these sizes, they promote things like walkability and different route options for cars and people. But they're also great for allowing for double lot frontage. So you can see that all these blocks allow there to be a front onto every street, and then a back is internal to the lot. And then lastly, the smaller the blocks, the more streets you have. And the more streets you have means you actually have more town. So, when you think about the places that you live or you visit, you're experiencing those places from the street. When you travel to Paris, you marvel at Paris from its streets. And so that it's the necessary fabric that kind of opens up a town for development and ice cream shops and beautiful buildings and all those things. And then lastly, you can notice that these blocks are generally rectangular. And why is that? No, that's because buildings are generally rectangular. no surprise there. It's an efficiency in geometry. So we can take that information and then apply it to Hampton Bays. So here we are downtown. This is Montauk Highway here. And if we put on our X-ray glasses, this is how we initially see Hampton Bays in terms of its lots, blocks, and streets and building footprint. And so just from this information, we can start to make some observations. So for example, the small lots, small buildings are all clustered around here. So then that means this must be the main street. But then we can see that as we go along the street here, we see all these missing teeth. So like buildings that are pulled away from the street or lots that haven't been developed. We see that there's this one really long block that's 2,100 feet long. If we're drawing our arrows onto these lots and buildings, we see that all of these buildings are turning their backs to the park. And we see that these lots are super deep, 600 feet deep. There's no alleys, there's no kind of consolidation of access or parking. And then here we have a train station that is kind of operating like it's in the back of the town, but one thing we might want to think about is actually kind of capitalizing on that train station and perhaps putting a street here. And so once we start thinking of those things, we start writing down, okay, what are those possibilities? So if we pull in a street here, we can turn that welcome that train station as a welcoming front door to the town. That would make this a nice smaller block, more commensurate to Southampton. We want to focus development on Montauk. We want to divide up these large lots, introduce new streets and smaller blocks, try to get as many front doors as possible onto these parks, because the parks are a great community asset. And then look at filling in some of these missing teeth all along here. So our next step is to first, don't look at property ownership, and let's try to hit those goals and just produce an ideal plan. And this plan may or may not be feasible, but it'll act as a reference for us. One that we can refer to, like if we have to make different trade-offs. And so here I've just poured a bunch of white out on the downtown area. And so I just want to see, what would it take to kind of hit all those goals? And so one possibility is something like this, where we've got our small blocks, we've got all of our lots that are properly oriented and front doors are facing other front doors, and we're filling in all the missing teeth, and we've got these nice street walls. We've got frontage along the parks now, and we've got that, entry street for the train station. And so, this is kind of that ideal plan. And so now that we have this, we can use it as an underlay for if we ever encounter an odd shaped parcel like this. So, if you've got a parcel like this, it's really hard to kind of envision, what can you do with that? But by having this ideal underlay, we can, you can kind of squint your eyes and be like, all right, what if we put a street here and we put one there, and then, all right, what if this street actually slid over onto the property, and how would that parcel be subdivided at that point? Or this other option, what if we just had one street here and then one street here, and drawing our arrows and thinking of fronts and backs. And so then if we like an option, we'll for example, this one, we can kind of refine it and throw some building footprints on there so that we can start getting a sense of what kind of street wall might that create. We can take this plan and start to measure the actual square footages of the footprint, get a sense for how much development did we just draw on this plan. And then we can do like a post analysis and make sure we're checking all the boxes that I highlighted earlier. So here I'm showing all the arrows, making sure that buildings are facing each other, consolidating all the things like parking and trash and alleys all into the rear of these blocks, making sure we're fronting those parks, making sure that we are focusing on Main Street because Montauk Highway is Hampton Bay's Main Street. And then also making sure that this pattern that we just laid down kind of works with potential future development. So, this would still work with, if we wanted to do something along this park or if we wanted to get that street in there from the train station. So, so that's our presentation, and thank you for watching.